It takes a village to raise a child.
What's good people? Welcome to another episode of The Village Show. This is episode 12. Thank you again for tuning in. Today we got a jam-packed show for you. You know what I'm saying? Without wasting any time, thank you again for subscribing. Thank you for actually watching. You know what I mean? For engaging with the content. I see you guys are loving it. I love you too. So today again on the show, we have a very nice show for you guys. On the video appreciation, we have Mr. Gazza featuring Winnie with a song called All My Life. That's the video that we're going to appreciate. And then on the song of the week, or the appreciating song of the week, or the song we're going to appreciate this week, we have man like Kris Black with a song called Kid Again from the said playlist. That's the song we're going to be appreciating today. And then on the topic of the week, we're going to talk about the blame game. You know, why people love playing the blame game, you know, and why everybody feels comfortable playing the blame game. And what is actually the blame game? You check what I mean? And then on What's the Hustle, we're going to talk about photography, you know, being a full-time photographer or being a freelance photographer, different types of photography that you can get into, and what are the different spaces that you can find yourself being useful as a photographer. And then on our Kasi superhero, we have Mr. Ofentse Mwase. He's a director, a film director. And funny enough, you know, as I was talking, researching about Ofentse mwase, I found that he has a film that's on Netflix, already came out on the 16th of June, called Collision. So basically on our trailer watch, we're going to be watching that trailer called Collision. Right, without any further ado, let's get into the show. Again, if you haven't subscribed, please do so below. And for those who have already subscribed, thank you very much for your subscription. And we appreciate you a lot here on The Village. So so as I said, we're going to be appreciating the music video. I'm going to watch this music video with you guys, and we're going to talk a little bit. So Gazza is an artist from Namibia, if I'm not mistaken. Either Tanzania or Namibia, but I think it's Namibia. He's been in the music industry for a long time. So a friend of mine from Namibia actually sent me this and said I must actually just check out the video. The song came out on April the 15th and 2022. So we're just going to be appreciating the video. So without me talking a lot, let's go to the video and actually appreciate the video.
I've got the money right now.
What the?
My life is a movie. You can see that I'm grooving. If the train is in motion, the money I'm moving.
Step by step, oh, Okamani I'm climbing. Bogatti mafuta, deep sea I'm diving.
Kama ngelikuwa mbegu ngeniona nkikua, nami ndo ngurumo kwenye mvua. Wanarusha mikuki ila naipangua, kwa kudra za Mungu ninapasua.
It's me they are wanting, they can see I'm stunting. What you go, what you do there, I'm the silver lining. All my life, kwele go kwele.
All my life, mbele kwa mbele, mbele kwa mbele, mbele kwa mbele.
Zibu zaza, kole. Zaza, kole. If I come in a place, competition trembling, I come in peace, but they think I'm fighting. Oh, I walk in the valley of death, I fear no evil, cause I know Kulu happening on my blessings, yeah. Lighting fire upon the enemy. I am the Messiah, Zaya for the people.
Hata mjinga naweza itabiri vita kabla hajatoke, na mdharau
All my life.
That's Gazza right there featuring Winnie All My Life. Beautiful music video, from the dance scenes, to the color coordination, the pink suits, the rings, the jewelry, you already know, man. Looking good. That's Gazza there. Please make sure that you go engage. I will leave the details down below. Gazza has some really, really beautiful music. There's some Kwaito influence music. He's a versatile artist and he's a versatile musician. So we appreciate the music video from Gazza right there. On our topic of the week, this week we have what we call the blame game. This is a name that I'm dubbing it, but I feel like it's a name that a lot of people are already using out there. What is the blame game? The blame game is actually, playing victim all the time. It's easy to play victim, and having the victim mentality, I feel like sometimes works against us. Why do I call it the blame game? It's always all the time that we have something that we can blame for every situation that we're in. You check what I mean? And it's never us that we blame. It's always the external. It's always somebody that we can point to. Our hoods are not developed. We're going to point at the government. And don't get me wrong, they have to do certain things. But before we actually take it in our hands to be able to force them to do those things, we're not responsible. So there's not going to be any change, because if you're sitting and you're hoping, it's not going to happen. Some people have to take charge and actually be able to make that so that we don't have to blame ourselves and play the blame game and say we don't have this, but we have never asked for that. And we have never made it a mission that we can be proactive to be able to ask for that. Parents are sitting at home and actually blaming the education system. Who's supposed to change the education system? Who's supposed to engage the government? Who's supposed to engage the teachers? Who's supposed to engage the professors and make sure that we can actually change the education system to where we want it? It's us. We need to start the conversation, so we can't just blame the government, because then we're separating ourselves from being the government. If we voted, we need to have a voice. Whether our voice is going to be heard or not heard, that's not the problem for now. As long as let's talk, and then we're going to deal with it if it's not heard. You check what I mean? So instead of just blaming the situation, we always have something to blame. This is going to come with a pinch of salt for a lot of people. For example, in South Africa, we're suffering from lack of jobs. We have a high rate of unemployment. And you have to ask yourself a question like, for example, why is it that we have a high rate of employment? Is it that people are not being hired? Is it that there's a demographic of people that's getting hired, or what's going on? And one of the things is because of, what a lot of people will say, economic development, being able for us to create jobs where we are, So it's a thing that, for example, if I'm from a village and 10 of us are going to leave the village for the rest of the year to come work at Joburg, and we're all going to compete here in Joburg, it's going to be tough for us to actually make a living, because we're not really making a living where we're from. So we're saturated, and we're all fighting for these little jobs that are there, because not a lot of people are actually in the business of creating jobs. You check what I mean? And the education system kind of like stems with that, where the entry level of actually you working a decent job that can make you do something or actually create another stream of income for other people, it's very, very hard, and it's very, very low. But again, I can sit here and blame the system and be like, if this was done this way, it could have been. And I'm just talking to myself, and it's falling into deaf ears. So we need to be very, very proactive with actually what we want. This is everywhere, I'm saying, in relationships, in whatever it is. We always blame the outside. We always say, now, if this situation was like this, maybe I would have been like this, or this would have happened like this. But we never looked at what we could have done proactively to change the system or to change the outcome, because we are the cause. But the problem is we're always analyzing, the effect. The effect is already the outcome. It's a responding mechanism. You check what I mean? It's you trying to suppress your emotions. If you sit there and try to suppress your emotions, the emotions are not the problem. maybe you should find out what triggered the emotion so that you can deal with that, so that the emotion doesn't get triggered again. Because if you say I have anger, for example, like I've met people who will say like, yo, I have a short temper, for example. The problem is I have a short temper. That means you have a mechanism loop of you actually reminding yourself to be angry. What's actually triggering the short temper? You're trying to deal with the short temper, but it's always going to come out because the emotion is just how you're going to feel. You can't control that, and we're trying to control the feeling without understanding where the feeling is actually coming from. We're trying to deal with, it's basically what a lot of people will say about a lot of things. Like, for example, we will never cure the disease, but we'll find a way of controlling it. Why don't we actually cure the disease? Why don't we actually find out how, deal with the disease so that we don't have a disease, so that we don't end up just dealing with the consequences of having the disease all the time. So we have a lot of blame game, we're going to blame our past. We're going to blame where we're from. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying people must go forget about their past, because it shapes who they are, but dealing with it means that you can actually come out from it. And actually maybe most of the time using it as a superpower. That time you're not being a victim. You're not going to be victimized by something that happened to you when you were 12. Even if it traumatizes you, you have to deal with it so that you can go to new light, because if you stay there all the time, you're going to always have this situation oppressing you, and you're allowing it to do that, and you start blaming the situation or whoever created the situation, without realizing that you have a new opportunity of actually forgetting about that and actually using that as a superpower because you survived. You check what I mean? You're here because you survived whatever it is that might happen in the past. So a lot of us, we stay there and we actually blame a lot of the past. Even me too. I'm finding a lot of like the blame mentality where, I will blame, for example, work for my financial situation. Even if, I believe that I deserve more, and they're not giving me more, it's my choice that I find myself there. I can actually go find something else. And a lot of people are sitting there be like, yo, it's not easy to find something else. Yes, I didn't say it was going to be easy. But again, it's not easy to stay in a relationship that you don't like too. Just because you want to sacrifice certain things. You weigh your sacrifices. Whatever you want to sacrifice, that's what you're going to sacrifice. You check what I mean? You're going to climb into a bus and be like, yo, this is... the problem is this, and you're talking to yourself that time and you're creating stress inside, but you're not saying this to anybody else. And you're just playing the blame game because you're not taking the problem and being like, okay, cool. All right, but I'm here, and this is my work. If I want to actually earn more, maybe let me just tell whoever I need to tell and see what they're going to say. Let me not just go home and complain and be like, tell my friends and all of these people that I'm not happy, but I'm not doing anything. I'm not being proactive about the problem. So it ends up just me being every time resenting somebody who I haven't even spoken to about. You check what I mean? You're going to hate somebody by your thought without actually, understanding what really went on. Relationships are ruined because of this, because we blame the situation. Why did he do that? Because if you ask, maybe you'll understand the perspective and we can deal with it there. And, you gain different perspective. But if you just cocoon it and you just like sitting with yourself, you're not going to find a problem. You're not going to find an answer for that. You're going to just end up blaming yourself and you're going to go into a loop of just, trying to find things that will piece together. Your mind is so smart that whatever it is, it can recreate and it can fool you into thinking that whatever you're saying is right. You check what I mean? So the blame game has to stop. We need to start with self. You check what I mean? What can we do? Let's stop blaming the situation. As much as, yes, situations are going to, deter what we think or, we're going to start far behind. It doesn't help us just sitting and blaming the situation. Then we need to find power in it. And try to use it for good. Let's stop blaming other people for things that is our responsibility. Let's stop blaming other people for our choices. Because we chose at the end of the day. If you go to a club and the DJ is not playing good music and the club is not happening and somebody steps on your shoes, yes, of course, you can tell the person, why did you step on my shoes? But if you really think about it, you went to a club. Things like this happen in the club. You check what I mean? The situation is a bad situation. How you react to the situation is up to you. You can look at it and be like, oh, okay, cool, it's a club, and it's full. And, it might happen that somebody step on my shoes. It's cool. Let me deal with that and enjoy and have fun the rest of the night. Or same situation happens, somebody step in your shoe and you're like, yo, why are you stepping in my shoe? You create a scene. You end up having a fight, end up police being called. You end up in a jail. You see, same situation. But being aware of the situation and making a choice can really help you. Some people might be the person looking on the other side, but I'm not going to let somebody step on my shoe because they didn't step on his shoe. It's not his situation. It's not in the situation. You're on flight, or fight mode. You check what I mean, flight or fight mode, or you be like, okay, cool. I'm not here to worry about somebody stepping on my shoe. It's a club, Let me just, let it be, carry on with having fun with my friends. 2 minutes, 3 minutes into that situation, you have re-triggered your emotions. You're no longer feeling angry. You might think about it now and then you just carry on with your life. But that situation can end up being something that can actually change your life. Because from the get-go, this was a choice. You've been making choices. So you make a choice. Whatever happens after you making the choice, the universe contemplate that because you made the choice. You can't then say, no, but I didn't go to the club for somebody to step to step on my sneakers. That's what the world is all about. You can be driving outside, and the world, you want it to be perfect, and somebody just drives into your car. You check what I mean? The situation, you made a choice to get into your car and drive, but you didn't make a choice to be in the accident. How you react to the accident, that's another choice that you have to make now because the situation is there. So we got to understand that most of the time when we blame the external, we have a choice to make a choice about what we trying to blame somebody, and we could make a choice that is actually sitting with us and we analyze the situation truthfully. You check what I mean? You get into conflict with somebody, you need to ask yourself, what could have I done in the situation and to make the situation a little bit better than what it was? You start learning yourself, you start understanding yourself, and as communities too, as a common mentality, we need to start being proactive. We can't just be sitting in a village and being like, we want better network. But what did we do about it? Have you approached Vodacom? Have you approached Telcom? Have you approached the government? Have we written proposals? Have we written these letters? Have we sat down as the people and talk about this problem that we have? No. We're just telling each other in the streets. We're not even doing the right things. Yes, we want a computer center. We're talking about it. But what are we actually proactively doing to make sure that becomes? Did we send a proposal to the government? Did we try all the stakeholders and people who can? Did we talk to principals at schools to get their consent and to actually have their backing? Did we talk up to the counselors? Are they accessible? Instead of just blaming them and saying the counselors are not visible, are we visible to them? Are we actually making sure that we remind them to be like, we have problems, these are our problems? As much as we accept them to understand, sometimes they don't, and we have to be proactive about it, So this is the thing that I'm saying, instead of just blaming the situation, let's be proactive about it and actually try to find solutions for us. It's going to take time for the government to actually find a solution for each and every person's problem everywhere. That's why there's local government, and then there's councillors, and then there's small, so that if the problem is here and we can't solve the problem, we go here. If this can't solve the problem, we go here. If this can't, and then until we get to the bigger structure and make sure that they focus on that problem, realize how big that problem is, and most of the time, the problem will actually be solved. You check what I mean? But most of the time we sit in the corners, we sit in places, we sit in social media and talk about it. As much as social media does help to create awareness, we need to be proactive and do the due diligence behind the cameras, behind the talk, and actually do the due diligence and make sure that we are proactive and making sure that we don't play the blame game. You check what I mean? Without understanding information. And sometimes it's just a matter of not understanding the information or an agenda that's being pushed by whoever wants to be able to gain whatever they need to gain. So that's basically, for me, the blame game. I feel like it's a game that we need to stop playing on our own personal lives, on our own community lives. Just be proactive with whatever we're talking about instead of just talking about it. If we want change, we need to go make the change instead of asking for it. Who are we asking? Because it's our responsibility to actually make this change. You check what I mean? Those who wants to lead need to step up and lead. Those who want to create jobs needs to step up and create jobs. And all of us needs to be proactive and be able to support each other in this cause so that we can see our brothers and sisters in a better light and be able to actually change our lives, whether personal or as a community, right? So basically that's the topic of the day right there, the blame game. One of those that a lot of people, when I have a conversation, it becomes a tough conversation because depending on how you look at it, a lot of us don't want to take responsibility, but I felt like I needed to speak about this because I'm finding a lot of young guys that I'm talking about who have a lot of ideas, but they stop wanting to eat because they already have somebody who told them, now you can't get government funding, you need to do this and this and this, and they never try because of that. You check what I mean? But if they tried, maybe they will be the one that they get approved. You check what I mean? So they don't even want that information, and they don't think these things are there. They don't feel like they're getting support because they don't know where to actually go. So we need to kind of like break that blame game right there. So just to, bring you back on the show, like I said, on the appreciation, on the music appreciation, we have a good friend of mine, Mr. Kris Black. Kris Black makes some beautiful music, very different. I would say his music is kind of like pop music. You know what I mean? So I'm not even going to ruin it for you and talk a lot about it. I'm just going to play this song. You guys who, go make yourself a cup of coffee. If you're in the office, you know what I mean? If you're sitting at home in the evening and you're watching this, you know what I mean? Go get yourself a glass of water while you're listening to Kris Black. So without me speaking a lot, let's appreciate Mr. Kris Black. Kid Again from the EP, the Sad playlist. Let's go.
Cause somehow I need to feel like a kid again. I'm past 25 and I find myself going nowhere. It was always a time when these fucked up friends who don't care. There's some things I'll never have. My age up, I'm out of gas. Cause some things don't ever last. I'm here still stuck in the past. Get money, money. They keep telling me get the bag. Say money, money. Say money. If the stars don't shine, I need a reason for me falling behind. I need a reason for me falling behind. Somehow I need to feel like a kid again. Cause growing up really made me feel like an idiot. Somehow I need to feel like a kid again. I'm past 25 and I need to turn my whole life around. I'm flirting with this death thing, I won't lie. The devil wanna call, but my phone died. I was always told to show no weakness, cause the ops might just pull up. They'd rather pillow talk and get you secrets and call you soft to you niggas. Get money, money. I keep getting stuck in the past. Say money, money. Say money, money. If the stars don't shine, I need a reason for me falling behind. I need a reason for me falling behind. Cause somehow I need to feel like a kid again. Cause growing up really made me feel like an idiot. Somehow I need to feel like a kid again.
For sure. That's Kris Black right there with Kid Again. Very, very beautiful song. Go and engage with Kris Black music. Go make sure that you follow him on Instagram. I'll leave the details below. I do believe there's new music coming through. There's a couple of music videos. I'm going to play them once, sometime in this show. But again, Kris Black, very, very beautiful music. Kid Again, I feel like somebody, all of us feel about that. When you start growing up, there's like, growing pains. But we love them. We have to go through them to gain experience and enjoy every experience that we get down here, on earth. But again, Kris Black, make sure that you go and engage with Kris Black. On what's the hustle, we talk a little bit about photography. Again, I'm just going to introduce you to this. I'm probably going to talk to one of my photographer friends who's doing this full time to actually maybe send me a voice note that I can actually share with you guys on how he's finding photography. So I'm just going to introduce how you can make money when it comes to photography. Photography, again, is just the art of taking pictures. I call it freezing time. You check what I mean? So pictures kind of like freeze time, because every time when you go through your pictures, you can kind of like feel that moment, you relive that moment again. So you're actually capturing time. For example, if you take a picture of yourself when you're 13 and you start showing your kids, they can kind of like be part of that time, frozen time. So there's a lot of places where we're living in an age of visuals, whether video or photography, but photography has been here for a long time and it will always be here because, again, for the ability of, again, freezing time, it's easier to kind of like share pictures with things like social media. Nowadays, pictures have become very, very important. People are doing like professional photo shoots, making sure that they have professional photos on their phone. Phones have actually really improved, the camera so that people can actually take photos, the boom of Instagram, you check what I mean. Just being able to capture that moment and have that memory in your phone, you check what I mean. So having your photo album. So can you make money as a photographer since everybody is a photographer? Yes, of course. Back in the day, if you wanted a photo, you need to find somebody who had a camera and you can go take the photo, wait for them to develop the photo and give you. Nowadays, everybody walks around with a device that can take a photo. Does that mean that everybody is a photographer? Well, to the basic level, yes. But to the highest level, there is photographers who actually know how to take pictures. Not only just take pictures, understand lighting, understand how to take different pictures, understand how to tell a story through photography. So the first part of photography is what I call product photography. So I did research on basically what product photography. These are guys who take pictures of products. So let's say, for example, you have a product out. Let's say, what can I use for an example? Let's say you have a shoe. You created a shoe, right? You have a shoe that you want to market. Nowadays, even back in the days, you will take photos, which is like kind of like mock-ups that you can use for advertisement to show people, what kind of shoe it is. So you're taking pictures of the product, whether the person is wearing the shoe by itself, showing the stitching, close-ups, inside, how comfortable it is. Again, you can combine this with video, but pictures are still very, very effective. And these pictures are high-quality pictures that can be used on a spread, for example, magazine, can be used on a blog post, can be used on Instagram to kind of like advertise the product. You check what I mean? You can create themes, product photography. And then there is, for example, concert photography or celebrity photography, where you will go around with a celebrity and then you will take pictures of their different moments. For example, when they're performing on stage, when they're doing interviews on TV, when they're doing interviews on radio, you capture those moments and actually use for promotional pictures. So actually do booked photo shoots where they will have different outfits and actually do promotional pictures that they will use for their website, that they will use for their blog, book a studio where they can have different outfits going on. And you can be a sports photographer. A sports photographer is when you go to matches. For example, Kaizer Chiefs is playing Orlando Pirates and you take these pictures that you can use again for blogs, for them to be able to talk about the match, review the match and create a story around the match, moments in the match. Again, it can be F1, it can be cricket, it can be rugby, it can be soccer, it can be different sports, it can be Olympics, whatever it is. And then, you can do photography for cars, which is still kind of like product photography. So you can see the array and the spread of where you can actually use the talent of being a photographer and you can get paid. Nowadays, you can actually even just be a photographer who takes random pictures, like, for example, landscapes, buildings, forests, and you can sell these pictures to people like National Geographic. You can sell it to Shutterstock, and actually Shutterstock can actually license your pictures to certain people who wants to use your pictures. For example, let's say you want to advertise a trip to go to Alaska, you have never been there. You can just go to Shutterstock. Shutterstock will have somebody who uploaded pictures of Australia, and you can just use that. Or holiday destinations, for example, you want to go to Hawaii, you have never been to Hawaii, you want to advertise Hawaii. If you Google Hawaii right now, there's pictures that are going to come up on Google. Some of them are royalty free, some of them are not, which means whenever you use it, you got to pay a royalty and the person who took the picture actually gets paid. So you can see there's a lot of avenues for you to actually make money, and you can do this as a main income or you can do it as a hobby. Again, without me speaking like I know what the nitty-gritty is, what I'm speaking about is what I research. Again, I'm going to talk to my photographer friend who's going to send us a voice note and actually talk us through. He does a lot of like wedding shoots, planned photo shoots for celebrities and following celebrities around. And I've seen some product, photography that he has done. So we're going to talk to him a lot about that and how actually you can make money. How does he get the clients and how did he set up his business when it comes to him being a photographer. So that's what's the hustle for this week. Basically talking about photography as a source of income and, you know, selling your photos. Actually, sometimes you can even frame your pictures or your photos and actually sell them in art auctions. So that's basically right there, photography. On our Kasi superhero, I'm excited for this one. You know what I mean? On our Kasi hero, we have Ofentse mwase. Ofentse mwase graduated from AFDA. He's a film director and a YouTuber, you know, who's doing really, really great things. He's one of the upcoming directors we have in South Africa. His film work is really amazing. His camera, the way he tells stories. So on the Village Show today, we just want to appreciate Ofentse mwase for being one of those guys who actually show us that it's possible. His YouTube page, there's a lot of YouTubers who he groomed and actually taught the art of telling stories who are doing really great things. Some of them, you know, like Boy Leon Gumede, you know what I mean? And a lot of those guys, you know, had done some collaboration work with Ofentse mwase. Has worked on a lot of music video, top music video, won awards for top videos. He's the owner of OM Films. And him and his wife, if I'm not mistaken, they collaborate together to actually run OMF, the production company, which is Ofentse mwase Films, if I'm not mistaken. So basically, you know, he's a director. He does film, and there's a new film that is going to come out on the 16th of June, already came out, by the way, which is the trailer that we're going to be watching. So I'm not going to talk a lot about that for now, but we just want to appreciate Ofentse mwase for breaking, you know, ground, for making sure that you actually open the doors and show people that there's another avenue and actually doing it at the highest level when it comes to the film industry. The South African film industry is at a very, very interesting stage where it's really, really growing, and people like, you know, Ofentse mwase are actually in the forefront of actually making sure that the industry works. Not only just that, his work on YouTube, you know what I mean, his work when he's doing shorts, parody videos, his editing skills, you know, when he's doing skits, you know, the way they write, the way his film work is, you know, the camera work is very, very interesting. And without actually him teaching, you can learn a lot from just watching a lot of content that's coming from him to understand how to do lighting properly, how to do different kind of like videos, how to do sketches, how to write, you know, certain things. So he's a very, very good entertainer. And, you know, us from the villagers, we just want to take off our hat and actually say appreciate, you know, Ofentse mwase. Still on the same note, you're checking out, I mean, going into our trailer watch, you know, a very, very nice transition. The trailer that we're going to actually be watching has been directed by Ofentse mwase. I do believe it's Ofentse mwase's film, which is on Netflix. It came out June 16. The film is called Collision. I believe the film is about a collision of cultures, a collisions of different people from different areas, you know, people falling in love outside of your race and that creating conflicts with their parents, people loving other, you know, tribes from outside of Africa and having these stereotypes, and that stereotype driving a whole movement of people who are protesting because a girl ran away with this guy he loved, and it so happened that the guy is from a different country, so from a Nigerian country. This is something that is happening right now where we are really confused and we're really still struggling to find ourselves, you know, being one as Africans, where we still separate ourselves depending on language or where we're from, you know what I mean, and interracial relationships getting judged a lot and parents not understanding. So this is a film that actually depicts that story very well, you know, and, you know, I can do a lot of talking, but I don't think I can explain it more than you watching the film. But for now, let's just watch the trailer of the movie called Collision.
You were good, okay?
Thank you.
Maybe it's somewhere like that. Yeah.
What have I told you about mixing with these kinds of people?
Open your eyes, Dad.
You're a beautiful family, huh? Let's keep it that way.
As soon as I get all this money, I might just get
usejozi lana beluphande boy ados uzolamba ufuna ukulamba ntwana
myself a new Maserati.
Mamena ngikubonile nali night. Awuna mahluli.
Baba, uAdze akantshontshanga lutho kuwena.
Watsiba ukuthi ulungwana yamamela iba buhlali hle ngwanaka.
Please, you have to help us.
Where the hell is our daughter?
I don't know where they took her.
Don't lie to me!
Don't worry. No one knows we are here.
John, please slow down.
Tick, tock. Tick, tock.
You know, like I said, very, very beautiful movie. Touches on a lot of stories. It deals with, you know, human trafficking. It deals with collision of culture. It deals with making it out and, you know, no matter how, you check what I mean, living in the street life. You know what I mean? It talks about a lot of things. It's a very, very well-written movie. Please make sure that you go watch that movie and stream it on Netflix. Shout out to Netflix again for the beautiful trailers. We appreciate people at Netflix for letting us use this, you know what I mean, and their copyright without hitting us with a copyright strike, you know, because they know that we're just using it for educational purposes and the purposes of actually promoting people to go watch these films. Again, shout out to Ofentse Mwase for this film. You know, if you're looking to watch something, please make sure that you go to watch this movie, Collision. That's that for the show today. Again, nice and quick and easy getting into it. Thank you very much for staying in tune. If you're still watching till this end, I really, really love you. I hope you're good. And if you're watching until this end, you will, you know, this is only for the people who are going to watch up until here. Next week, I'm going to be doing a giveaway. I'm going to start giving away books. You know, some of the books that I'm going to be giving away, I will be showing in this. So if you want a book giveaway, please make sure that you go and actually comment. You know, I'm going to be giving some people from the comment section, some random people from the comment section, you know, they're going to be winning a book that I'm going to be giving away. So next week, I'm going to be telling you which book I'm giving away. When you win the book, I'm going to be sending that book to you and make sure that you have the book and enjoy the book. So if you're watching up until this point, thank you very much again, and you deserve this book that I'm going to be giving away. And from now on, I think for the next 3 weeks, we have a sponsor for some books. We're going to be giving away this book. So again, only to the people who will be watching up until this segment. Those are the people who deserve to win. Those are the people on the comment section. Again, thank you very much for subscribing. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening to this. Thank you for watching this if you're watching this on YouTube. And soon, very soon, we're going to have this as a podcast version, and we're going to have it on all the platforms so you can be able to listen to our podcast. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your week. I am Chuck the Sound Sangoma. This is episode 12 of The Village Show. Much love.